People sometimes group together atheism and science like they're inseparable, but what does one of the most important figures in the history of science, Francis Bacon, think of atheism? A lot has been said during this debate between theism and atheism, so much so that any one video or book or whatever will probably be hit by comments pointing out things that were missed and arguments that weren't discussed. So let me make a disclaimer here that Francis Bacon's essay on atheism is just that, an essay. And yeah, I do mean that Francis Bacon. No, not the weird painter, not Francis Bacon, if they even do bacon differently over there, but the philosopher Francis Bacon, who created one of the first formulations of the scientific method. He wrote a lot of essays, and the one that we'll be taking a look at today is on atheism. Also, I know the whole atheism versus theism debate can get kinda heated and personal, so let's just try to keep things civil in the comments towards everyone. But I don't really have to worry about my YouTube commenters, y'all are great. Some places, however. So is Francis Bacon, this big historical icon of science, a fan of atheism or not? Well, thankfully for us, he kinda lays out his overall position in the first sentence of the essay. I'd rather believe all the fables and the legends, and the Talmud, and the Al-Quran, than that this universal frame is without a mind, and therefore, God never wrought miracle to convince atheism, because his ordinary works convince it. Sounds like he's pretty in favor of this idea of the world having a mind, to borrow his language. So although he talks about why people become atheists in the essay, we should also remember that he's a little biased here because he himself doesn't seem to be an atheist. Now he goes on to talk about metaphysics and atheist philosophers, but what we're really looking for here is Bacon's understanding of why atheism is popular with many people. And look, his reasons are generalizations, but they nonetheless lead to some interesting considerations. These causes of atheism are different religions, scandals involving religious figures, the strangeness of religious practices, and the specific time that one lives in. Now reading these initially and talking to my atheist friends, they're going to point out that lack of evidence is missing, that they've become atheist as a result of a lack of evidence for a divine figure. And I agree that this is one of the big, if not the main reason people turn to atheism. But Bacon's causes seem to be talking about emotional causes rather than scientific causes, for lack of a better term. Still, there are some interesting conversations here, so let's start with cause number 1. The causes of atheism are divisions in religion, if they be many. For any one main division addeth zeal to both sides, but many divisions introduce atheism. So assuming a god or gods do exist, you have quite the catalog of gods to choose from, and it's a pretty exclusive choice. If you choose to follow a certain religion, that usually blocks you off from other religions. Many gods are jealous, they say. I forget where I heard this, but it's like atheists are 100% atheist, right? In contrast, following a certain religion doesn't make you 100% theist, but rather, only maybe like 10% or whatever, because you're denying the existence of other gods. You're an atheist in regards to those religions. Obviously though, there are exceptions to this. Unitarian Universalism seems to embrace many different religions, and I'm not an expert on Hinduism at all, but I think I remember in the Bhagavad Gita reading something about Krishna being the source of all the gods. Correct me if I got that one wrong. And then there's divisions within a religion. Are you Catholic or Protestant? Theravadan or Mahayanan? Sunni or Shia? All these human divisions make the idea of a one true God less convincing. So even if you were an atheist who wanted to become a theist, where would you even begin? The next cause is scandal of priests. When it comes to that which Saint Bernard saith, non est, I'm not even going to try to say that, but it translates to, it is not for us now to say, like priests like people, for the people are not even so bad as the priest. Religious leaders are supposed to represent some higher connection to a religion than us common folk. But when these religious leaders act wild, it's not difficult for people to wonder if that reflects upon the religion itself. After all, many people see religious leaders as spokespeople for that religion. The easiest example of this are certain Catholic priests doing a lot of horrendous things. But even recently we had that Dalai Lama incident with the tongue, and that guy seemed pretty chill, at least to me, before all that happened. And now his image is called into question. And usually the response is, well, they aren't really followers. They aren't really members of that religion. And yeah, this requires a case-by-case analysis. But then it could be argued that these leaders are just interpreting things differently. And therefore we go right back to the divisions within religion. I'm actually curious about this one the most. How many of you have left a religion because of the practices of a religious leader? Comment below. Now, the third cause of atheism took me a bit to understand, but it seems to be critiquing uncommon religious practices. A third is custom of profane scoffing in holy matters, which doth by little and little deface the reverence of religion. Okay, so maybe I'm misinterpreting Bacon and his Old English, but this is how I understand it. Religion takes itself seriously. It's a very formal and important matter when you engage in religious practices. But for someone not fully into that religion, it can admittedly seem a bit goofy. And then the seriousness of it all only adds to that goofiness, if that makes sense. I'm a Christian, so hopefully I could use this example. Church on Sundays. It's gotta be that day. Why does it have to be that day? Well, that day is very significant if you read the Bible. But for someone who hasn't, it's just like every other day. Maybe it lands on a weekend, is that why? But then why not Saturday? Why not have church on Wednesday so you get the day off? See, it just kind of sounds strange for someone who doesn't understand the context. But we have all these religious practices that are very personal and important for those within that religion. But if you're outside that religion, or even just a skeptical person in general, you might question the validity of these practices or even laugh at them. And look, I'm not saying this is good or bad, it just is. If an alien race came down to Earth, and their religious practice involved worshipping Toucan Sam, we'd see that as weird or even a little silly, even if they took it very seriously. Alright, and the fourth cause of atheism for Bacon is that times of comfort will usually result in atheism. And lastly, learned times, especially with peace and prosperity, for troubles and adversity do more bow men's minds to religion. This is a weird one because I could see it going both ways. Like, let's say we live in a utopia where you didn't have to work, Fallout New Vegas got a sequel, and Taco Bell brought back the Mountain Dew Sangria Blast. One might think, wow, look at all we've done as humans. We've done this thing on our own, there's no need for a god. Besides, I'm too distracted to think about existential problems because I could have whatever I want whenever. But someone else might think, wow, look at all God has given us. Sure, this Mountain Dew Sangria Blast was crafted by humans, but it could only be through God's divine influence that someone could make something like this. Also, Taco Bell, if you're somehow watching this, please bring back the Sangria Blast. Now for Bacon, this means that hard times lead to a rise in religion. But again, we could see the same possibilities of someone blaming humans for this mess or someone blaming God. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on this because it could go either way for me. Hopefully some historians out there can say more. Anyway, those are Bacon's 4 causes of atheism. Obviously a lot is going to be missing when it comes to this stuff, so comment below your reason for being an atheist if you are one. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell for more philosophy content, and I wish you all a beautiful rest of your day.